All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to determine what quadrant the terminal side of your angle will reside in terms of radians. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just remind you of your quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to refer back to your unit circle. So remember when we talked about the unit circle, this is 0 degrees. This is 90 degrees, this is 180, and this is 270. But I also want to talk about in terms of pi, or degrees radians. So let's see, 1 whole revolution is 2 pi in the unit circle. 90 degrees is the same thing as pi over 2. 80 degrees, sorry, 180 degrees is the same thing as pi. And then 3 pi over 2. So kind of use that as your reference or use your unit circle, and let's start. So our first example, let's try 3 pi over 4. So we need to determine the quadrant that lies in. 0, pi, 2 pi. I'm going to do pi over 2 and 3 pi over 4. So the way that I do this is anytime I have a angle measure given to me in degrees radians, the first thing I want to do is change all of my measurements on my unit circle to the same denominator. So pi is really the same thing as 4 pi over pi, and 2 pi is the same thing as 8 pi over 4, right? Because 4 over 4 is 1 pi and 8 over 4 is 2 pi. So doing that, I can see that 3 pi over 4, and let me change this one as well, sorry. Pi over 2 is the same thing as 2 pi over 4. So I know that 3 pi over 4 is going to be right here. Okay, and that's actually in quadrant 2. All right, let's try another example. What about a negative, like negative, let's try negative 13 pi over 9. All right, so I'm going to draw my little quadrant here. So I know that this is 2 pi. This is 1 pi, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. And so remember the advice I gave you, turn everything into the same denominator. So this is really 9 pi over 9. This is the same thing as 18 pi over 9. This is the same thing as 4.5 pi over 9. So you get the idea. Now, the thing that's different about this is given a negative measurement. So that means that instead of my angle starting here and rotating this way, right? Because that's the way our clock rotates, or not our clock, but that's the way our circle rotation goes. We go counterclockwise in the way that the quadrants go. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's a counterclockwise rotation. Well, here I'm going negative or opposite. So really, for this one, I want my rotation to be in the opposite direction. So I'm going to rotate in this direction. I'm going to start here and I'm going to rotate this way. All right. So if I start here at 0 and I rotate half of a revolution, I'm now at negative 9 pi over 9. Well, what's half of 18? The difference between 18 and 9 is 13.5 pi over 9. So when I go negative, so I'm starting right here and I'm going in this direction. So negative 9 over 9 is negative 1 pi. I need negative 13 pi, and this measurement right here is negative 13.5. So negative 13 pi is going to be about right here, which is in quadrant 2. I want to give you one more example. What about if I just say the number 4? I want you to turn the number 4 radians, because all of your measurements are given in degrees radians, into, tell me exactly what quadrant this is going to lie in. So first of all, I'm going to draw my quadrant. So this is pi, which is approximately 3.14159, right? So 3.14. So when I make my first rotation, I get halfway across. I'm only at, so I make a half circle. I'm only at 3.14. So it's going to be somewhere in this quadrant, the terminal side, which is quadrant 3. All right, and that's all you have to do. That's exactly it. Good luck.